This energy I am sitting in, that I've been sitting in today, is miraculous, is Christ consciousness. I have burst out in tears of joy today, just sitting in this energy. It's breathtaking and unbelievable. It truly feels like a miracle. What we have just gone through, what we are waking up to, what we are seeing and are about to be seeing is miraculous. Truly, truly, truly miraculous. Let's take some deep centering breaths. I like to start my videos this way because I do this before, but then I get scatterbrained in the intro, and this just brings me back to center. So let's take a deep breath in. And number 2, deep breath in. And number 3, deep breath. I'm just so excited. We have woken up to the fallen world. We have woken up to that we have been playing in, a fallen world, that we have been living in, a fallen world. Everything that we see that has been created by the ego was created as part of the fallen world. The ego is the creator of the fallen world. And we are waking up and we're able to see through, straight through it all, straight back to God. We are stepping into ourselves. We're stepping into the embodiment of truth and unconditional love. And we are noticing the world that has been created by the ego, and we're observing it from a place of non-judgment. We are observing it from that space while simultaneously making the decision of no. I do not choose this world as truth. I do not choose this world as a reflection of the truth of who we all are. This world does not reflect our collective divinity. And so to this world, I say no. I will not fall into the traps that the media has been setting out for us to keep us suckered into this world of fear and hatred and lack and separation. This false paradigm telling you who you should hate and who you should like and why you should hate them, and let's set a trap here for you to hate those people and set a trap over there for you to hate these people because of this and because of that. And if you like those people, you're a bad person, because if you were a good person, you would hate them. It's all just such a big joke. It's a joke. And when you start to embody more on a daily basis, choose to embody Christ consciousness, choose to water the Christ seed in your heart, the God consciousness seed in your heart, when you choose to water that seed rather than the seeds that the ego has planted of judgment and hatred and fear and separation, the truth becomes more and more evident to you because you are seeing through your heart. You are seeing the world through the lens of truth, through the lens of Christ consciousness, through the lens of God. And when you begin to see the world through the lens of God, simply by asking each morning or whenever you remember throughout your day, God, show me this world the way you see this world. Show me myself the way that you see me. Show me humanity the way that you see humanity. And this prayer, I can't say I say it every single day of my life. That would be a lie. But I have been practicing saying this prayer as often as I can. Sometimes I go weeks saying it every single day, and then sometimes I'll go a few weeks and I forget. But it's getting more and more consistent to where the gaps where I forget are fewer and fewer. And I've been doing this consistently for about a year. I've been reading A Course in Miracles. I've been studying A Course in Miracles I bought the book back in 2020, but I didn't start reading it in 2020. I think I probably started reading it 3 years ago, slowly. I still haven't finished it because you have to really read it slowly and you have to digest what it's saying. And then you flip back to the back portion where all the lessons are. And it's just a lot to digest, right? So I've been reading it on and off for about 3 years. And I think I've truly been implementing it consistently for the past year. And it's seriously, this book, I can't give it all the credit because there's been so many other beautiful people I've listened to and beautiful books that I've read that has helped in this journey. But that book specifically has been the overall arching theme of my path, or the reason I'm able to stay on path, or why I'm understanding the path more clearly. It's A Course in Miracles. So maybe if you have read it, if you haven't read it, if it resonates with you. But anyway, just asking to see this world the way God sees this world, watering that Christ consciousness seed within your own heart. And you will begin to see anything that is not rooted in unconditional love, anything that is not rooted in the truth of God is an illusion. And this world is going to attempt to drag you down with it. And the people who are playing into the fallen world, the people who have not yet woken up to the truth of their own Christ seed. We all have a seed of Christ in our hearts, every single human being on this planet. But it's a choice. What are you watering? Are you watering the seeds that your ego has planted? Are you watering the seeds that the ego of this fallen world has planted within you? Or are you watering the seeds of God? Are you watering the seeds of Christ and unconditional love? It's a choice that we all make. And so the people who have been dragged into the fallen world have been choosing to water the seeds of the ego, which is fine. They're allowed to. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. We've all done it. It's been a part of all of our paths. We must see what life is like when we water the seeds of the ego so that we can realize how painful it is. We must get to a point to where it's so painful living in the egoic world. It's so painful living in the fallen world. It must become so painful that you fall to your knees. I mean, it doesn't have to. This is for me. This is how it happened for me. And I think for a lot of people, and a lot of people need to reach this point, but it doesn't have to reach this point. Anyway, until you fall to your knees because you're just in so much pain and so much suffering that you're just like, I don't know what I'm even talking to. Am I talking to the universe? Am I talking to myself? Am I talking to God? Like, I have no idea who I'm trying to reach out to right now, but I need help. I am suffering tremendously, and I don't know how I got here. I don't know why I'm suffering, but I just need help. And you have to be willing to surrender the fallen world and choose heaven on earth. You have to be willing to make that choice, which can be incredibly challenging and difficult, because when you've been watering the seeds and creating a false world intertwined with the ego, intertwined with the fallen world, your life is totally enmeshed and intertwined. Your relationships, your job, the way you eat, the way that you spend your night. Every single aspect of your life is enmeshed and intertwined with the fallen world. And so you must rip the roots up from that world one by one, slowly but surely, until you get to the point where you're a clean slate. You've been, I hate the word purified, but that might just be because of religious conditioning. I don't like the word purified, but there's nothing else coming to mind. That's what's wanting to come out, and it's my own judgments holding that word back. But you must be purified of the egoic world in order to see what you have been playing in, and in order to choose unconditional love. Because to the world of the ego, to the fallen world, us who are standing in truth, us who are standing in God, in unconditional love, in Christ consciousness, we look like the crazy ones. We look like the hateful ones or the bad ones, because we refuse to play in these petty little games that the ego is playing to try and keep us tethered to its world. Because once we all wake up, that's the crazy part. Because once we all wake up and choose divinity, choose unconditional love, choose God, the egoic world dies. It's dying. And it's afraid. And that's why everything is going crazy right now. I've been having to, I've been saying for a long time I wanted to get off scrolling, and I've been doing better. But I do love scrolling on TikTok. And I literally can't scroll on TikTok anymore. Ever since the election. I just can't scroll on it because there's just so much hate and so much fear mongering, and there's just so much. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous. I can see straight through this. It's not real. But if I was to tell these people that, it would be that I wouldn't do that, because that's not the right thing to do. That's not the right thing to do, because it is real for them. They're living in it. They're existing in it. That feels like the real world to them. And so it'd be incredibly insensitive and unloving to just be like, oh, all your beliefs in this whole world is bullshit. That's not loving. That's not the right thing to do. So it's more just being able to observe it from a space of compassion. Like, people are really suffering right now. People are suffering. People are in pain in the fallen world. And we must hold compassion. Don't get sucked into the stories with them. Don't believe it. Don't go down the rabbit holes with them, but be that space. Can you be that space holder for the people who are struggling, for the people who are suffering, for the people who are believing in this fallen world? Can you just simply be a space holder of compassion for them and for yourself and for everybody? That is all that is needed. We don't need to rip their world away from them. We simply just need to be a space holder of compassion for them as they go through it. Because they're going to wake up to the truth. It's inevitable. Our collective return home to God is inevitable. And when we try to control the way other people view the world, we are showing that we are lacking in faith, that we're lacking in the faith of their destined life path and what it's showing them and what they're gaining from it and what they need to see. We each individually have a path we need to walk on as we're walking on it. And the path can shift at any moment depending on your choices and your perspectives. But when you're on a certain path, you're there for a reason, because there's something you need to see. that you will only see, an experience you will only gain by walking down that path. And when we try to control or manipulate other people's perspective of the world because we think that they're doomed, or I don't know, whatever stories we make up about this type of thing, we're showing that we lack in faith that they will find God. We're showing that we lack in faith that we will find God, because really it's all just a reflection of each other and of ourselves. And so the way we view somebody is the way we view ourselves on some level. And especially the deeper we get initiated into the spiritual path, it's like magnifying breadcrumbs. So it could be on like a tiny little hidden level. You view yourself as a victim. You view yourself as being separate from God. You view yourself as, or you have lack in faith in God or whatever. And then it gets magnified by the world. Right? Because we're all just one consciousness. We're alone here. When you really wake up to the oneness, to the interconnectedness of all life, you understand that we're not lonely here because we all have each other, but we are alone here. There's only one of us. And so when we see people suffering, when we see people struggling, when we see people believing or having lack of faith in God, it's just a simple reflection to us of our own lack in faith of God. And you can say all you want, oh no, I have so much faith, I never lack in faith. On some tiny, teeny, tiny little layer in the back of your subconscious, you still have lack in faith in God. Otherwise, you wouldn't be perceiving other people who have lack in faith in God, because we are all one consciousness, animating different physical bodies from different points, from different perspectives, but we are really all one. And how did I start that off? Oh yeah. They're mowing back there, so I hope that doesn't, whatever. Our collective return home to God is inevitable. There is nothing anyone can say or do or believe to stop it. And the ego doesn't want this to be true. So the ego, through people, it's going to create stories. It's going to create fear mongering. It's going to try and create division and separation to try and like hook you in, so that you stay a little bit longer in time, which time, I'm going to move inside. Much better. Time was also created by the ego in order to extend its stay outside of God, if you will, in order to extend its life. Because once time vanishes, once we all fold back together and become one, and time ceases to exist, so does the ego. So anything it can do to create a story that will hook you and get you to play in this story a little bit longer, the longer time exists, and so the longer the ego exists. But when you can like look at a story and be like, that's not rooted in unconditional love or the truth of God, so no thanks, I'm not going to play in that and extend my stay in hell. Thank you. Truly, when you choose to play into these stories, you're choosing to extend your stay and our collective stay in hell, essentially. Because hell is just a mindscape. I've never used that word before. Hell is just a mindscape that you create depending on what stories you're choosing to believe as true, what thoughts you're choosing to think. All of this. And so, all of this to say, that's the energy today. I have no idea what I just said. I hope I didn't go off on too many weird tangents. I have faith that it all made sense. Okay, anyway, that's the energy today, is that that's what it is that's happening. It's so much bigger than just another timeline shift. Like, this is not just another timeline shift. We have woken up to the truth of who we are, and we have looked the fallen world in its face and said no. We've woken up to the remembrance that we have the choice to say no to the fallen world. We have the choice to say no to anything rooted in fear, anything rooted in judgment, anything rooted in hate. You simply just say no. You simply just choose to not play in those stories, to not expand your time spent in these stories that keep the constructs of the fallen world alive longer. And then you choose to redirect your energy, redirect your attention to the kingdom of God, to the kingdom of heaven. Maybe someone needs to listen to Kingdom Child by Londrell. It's like Kingdom Child, the mixtape. The whole mixtape is really good, but the song specifically, Kingdom Child, comes to mind today. There's a line where he says, I am a living temple. I am a living shrine. I am the living truth. I walk with the living God. And that's what we're doing. We are becoming the living kingdom of God. It's not something out there and everything's gonna change and shift and all of a sudden we're gonna live in some like utopia. No, you find the utopia. You find the kingdom within. You walk as living truth. You walk with God. And then the world, like in my last video, and then the world has no choice but to reflect that knowing back to you. When you walk with God, when you walk with truth, literally nothing can touch you. Nothing can stand against you. Nothing can tear you down because you're walking with God. You're walking with the capital T truth of God. Okay. I don't know why I'm like feeling a sense of insecurity about everything I just talked about. I'm like, well, I hope that like came across. Okay. I'm just letting you in on my ego and like the little stories I make up in my mind because whatever. I'll be honest. I just have a feeling that I'm trying to convey, convey this feeling I've been sitting in today of miracles. It has been a miraculous day and nothing has even happened in my external world. I had a normal day. I went to the gym, I trained some clients. Then I went to I go to people's homes and I train them at their homes too. So I went to somebody's house and I trained them. And then I went home, got my dog, took my dog over to see my husband. He works at his parents' house. They have an office in their house and he works in that office with his mom. And so I went home, got my dog, took my dog over and we walked our dog around the neighborhood. Like it's been a normal ass day, but it's been internally. The way I'm viewing the world has completely changed, has completely shifted. It is miraculous. I feel like I am sitting in the presence of Christ consciousness. And it's only going to expand and grow from here. Like this is just the beginning. This is just where it starts. And it's like I burst out crying today because of how intensely miraculous today felt. And it was just a normal day.